The signal and the response. The void of space stretched endlessly before the UES Retribution, its obsidian hull cutting through the darkness like a blade. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the command bridge, her weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. Earth was billions of kilometers behind them, but its gravity still pulled at her heart. A planet where survival had never been guaranteed, where every creature evolved to fight, to endure, to overcome. Humans were forged in that crucible, emerging as what the galaxy now called Deathworlders. "Captain, we're receiving something," Lieutenant Mason said, breaking the silence. His fingers danced across the console. "It's an SOS signal. Standard galactic distress frequency." Voss narrowed her eyes. "Source?" "Unknown species, Captain. Signals coming from the Valtari Nebula, approximately 3 light hours from our position." The bridge fell silent. In the 5 decades since humanity had ventured into the stars, they'd learned caution. The galaxy wasn't the friendly place optimists had once imagined. While some alien civilizations had welcomed them, others viewed humans with suspicion or outright hostility. Deathworlders were rare, species that evolved on planets with extreme conditions, predators, and natural disasters. Humans had survived it all, and that made them dangerous in the eyes of many. "Put it on speakers," Voss ordered. The message crackled through the ship's communication system. "To any vessels within range, this is the Cerebian Exploration Fleet. Engines critically damaged. Life support failing. Request immediate assistance. Please respond." Commander Reese, Voss's second-in-command, stepped forward. "Could be a trap, Captain. The Valtari Nebula is notorious for pirate activity." Voss nodded. She'd fought in the Proxima War, had seen what happened when humanity extended a hand only to be met with treachery. But something in the alien's voice, a tremor of genuine fear, resonated with her. "Even if it is a trap," she said, "I won't leave anyone to die in the void. Not if we can help." She turned to her tactical officer. "Lieutenant Commander Cady, battle stations. All crew on high alert. We're responding to that distress call, but we're not going in blind." "Aye, Captain," Cady replied, already initiating the ship's defense protocols. The Retribution's engines roared to life, propelling the warship toward the source of the distress signal. As they approached the nebula, swirling cosmic gases painted the view screen in shades of crimson and gold. "Sensors detect multiple vessels ahead, Captain," reported Mason. 5 ships, all damaged to varying degrees. Life signs are present but weak. "Open a channel," Voss commanded. After a moment of static, a wavering voice responded. This is Ambassador Threll of the Cerebian Collective. Thank you for responding to our distress signal." The view screen flickered, revealing a slender alien with iridescent skin and large, compound eyes. The being appeared exhausted, its breathing labored. "Captain Ilara Voss of the UES Retribution," Voss replied. "We received your distress call. What happened to your fleet?" "We encountered an anomaly within the nebula. It damaged our propulsion, systems, and energy cores." The alien hesitated. "We did not expect a human vessel to respond." The statement hung in the air, loaded with unspoken meaning. Humans had a reputation. Some called them warmongers, others saviors, but all acknowledged their resilience. "We're sending a team to assist," Voss said. "Hold position." As the communication ended, Commander Reese stepped closer. "I don't like this, Captain. Their damage patterns seem inconsistent with an anomaly. Strike." Voss had noticed it too. The burn patterns on the alien ships appeared more like weapons fire than nebula damage. "Keep our shields at maximum. I want a full combat team ready for boarding and gunners at their stations." "You think they're lying?" Reese asked. "I think we prepare for the worst while hoping for the best." Voss straightened her uniform. "That's what Deathworlders do." The boarding teams launched in shuttles toward the largest Cerebian vessel. Lieutenant Commander Cady led the operation, her voice steady over the comms as they approached the alien ship's docking bay. "Something's not right," Cady reported. "Their docking systems are fully operational." Inconsistent with the damage, they reported. Voss's instincts flared. "Kaidi, get your team." Before she could finish, alarms screamed across the bridge. "Energy surge from the Cerebian vessels," Mason shouted. "They're activating weapon systems." "It's a trap," Reese growled. The seemingly damaged alien ship suddenly blazed with light as hidden weapon ports opened along their hulls. Beams of concentrated energy sliced through space toward the Retribution. "Evasive maneuvers," Voss ordered, her voice calm despite the chaos. "Return fire. Target their weapon systems only. I want them disabled, not destroyed." The Retribution banked hard, its shields flaring as they absorbed the first salvo. The human warship responded with precise phaser bursts that struck the lead Cerebian vessel. "Captain." Kaidi's voice came through, punctuated by weapons fire. "We've been ambushed inside the alien ship. They were waiting for us. Multiple hostiles, and they're using some kind of neural disruptors." Voss's jaw tightened. "Fall back to the shuttles if possible. If not, hold position. We're coming for you." On the view screen, a new alien figure appeared. Taller than Ambassador Threll, with harder features and military bearing. "Humans," the alien commander said, contempt dripping from the word. "So predictable in your compassion. Did you really think we would believe Deathworlders came to offer aid? Your kind are killers pretending at civilization." Voss stood tall, meeting the alien's gaze. "We came because you asked for help. The trap was your choice, not ours." "A necessary test," the alien replied. "The galaxy watches Earth with growing concern. Your species spreads too quickly, adapts too easily. Before you become a greater threat, we needed to understand your capabilities." Understanding dawned on Voss. This wasn't a random encounter or simple piracy. It was a calculated assessment of human military strength. "You've made a miscalculation," Voss said quietly. "You wanted to test Deathworlders? Congratulations. Now you'll see what that really means." She cut the transmission and turned to her crew. "Target their engine cores. Lieutenant Mason, hack into their systems. I want control of their ship functions. And send a signal to Kaidi. Protocol Chimera is in effect." Reese's eyes widened. "Captain, that's the appropriate response," Voss finished. "They wanted to see what humans are capable of. I won't disappoint them." The Retribution's main cannons charged, glowing with contained energy. But instead of firing directly at the Cerebian ships, they released a dispersed electromagnetic pulse that swept across the enemy fleet. "Direct hit," reported the weapons officer. "Their shields are fluctuating." Meanwhile, aboard the lead Cerebian ship, Kaidi's team had implemented Protocol Chimera, a contingency developed specifically for situations when humans were lured into traps. Rather than fighting their way out, they released specialized nanites into the ship's ventilation system. The microscopic machines weren't lethal, but they could temporarily incapacitate by targeting specific neurological functions. Cerebian, crew showing signs of disorientation, Kaidi reported through the comms. "We're regaining control of the situation." On the bridge of the Retribution, Mason called out, "Captain, I've breached their primary systems. I have access to their communications, life support, and weapons." Voss nodded. "Disable their weapons first, then engines. Keep life support intact." Within minutes, the tables had turned. The Cerebian ships hung dead in space, their crews incapacitated or surrendering as boarding teams from the Retribution secured vessel after vessel. The alien commander was brought to the Retribution's bridge, flanked by security officers. His earlier arrogance had vanished, replaced by wary respect. "You could have destroyed us," he said, studying Voss. "Why didn't you?" Voss approached him slowly. "Because that's not who we are. Yes, humans come from a death world. Yes, we evolved to survive conditions that would kill most species in this galaxy. But what you fail to understand is that our strength isn't just in our ability to fight. It's in our capacity for mercy." She gestured to the view screen, where the disabled Cerebian fleet floated harmlessly. "Remember this moment. Remember that, when humans responded to a call for help, you chose deception and we chose restraint. Tell your leaders that if they ever send another fake distress signal, we might not be so merciful next time." As the alien was led away, Reese stepped beside his captain. They'll spread the word about this. About us. Good, Voss replied, watching the stars beyond the nebula. Let the galaxy know that Earth's Deathworlders came to offer salvation and were met with violence. Let them know what happened next. She turned to her crew. Prepare to transmit a message to Earth Command. They need to know. The game has changed. The Retribution's engines hummed as the ship prepared to depart, leaving behind a disabled alien fleet and carrying with it a warning for humanity. The galaxy was watching, testing, probing for weaknesses, and Captain Alara Voss had just shown them that underestimating Deathworlders was the greatest weakness of all. Turning the tables. 3 days after the ambush, the Retribution hovered at the edge of the Valtari Nebula, its sensors scanning deep into the cosmic storm. Captain Voss hadn't left the bridge except for brief respites, her eyes constantly monitoring the data flowing across her console. The Cerebian fleet remained under guard, their crews confined to designated areas while Earth Command decided their fate. Captain, Lieutenant Mason called. I've finished decrypting their secure communications. Voss moved to his station. Show me. The display filled with transmission logs, star charts, and tactical assessments, all focused on humanity. The Cerebians hadn't acted alone. They were part of a coalition of species, all evolved on safer worlds, all united by a common fear, the unpredictable potential of Deathworlders. They've been studying us for years, Reese observed, scrolling through the data. Military capabilities, colony expansion patterns, resource consumption rates. He paused on one file. This is a simulation of Earth being quarantined by a blockade of alien ships. Voss's expression hardened. They were never going to stop with this test. This was reconnaissance for something bigger. The interrogation room was sparse, designed to minimize distractions. The Cerebian commander sat across from Voss, his compound eyes reflecting the harsh lighting. Your coalition, Voss began without preamble. How many species are involved? The alien remained silent. We've decoded your communications, she continued. We know about the planned quarantine of Earth. What we don't know is when. You wouldn't understand, the commander finally said. Your kind represents an evolutionary aberration. You developed intelligence despite living on a world that should have killed you. The natural order dictates that sentient species evolve on stable planets with predictable conditions. And yet, here we are, Voss countered, thriving against the odds, exploring the stars. That's precisely what terrifies the coalition. The alien leaned forward. You adapt too quickly. Where other species would perish, humans find solutions. Given enough time, you could dominate the galaxy not through conquest, but through sheer evolutionary advantage. Voss considered this. Humanity had never sought galactic domination. They had established colonies, yes, traded with alien civilizations, shared technology, but they had also implemented strict non-interference protocols with developing worlds and respected territorial boundaries. Your coalition fears what might happen, she realized aloud. Not what has happened. Precautionary measures are sometimes necessary, the commander replied. The blockade is scheduled to begin within 30 Earth days. Multiple fleets are already positioning themselves. This mission was to assess your current capabilities and vulnerabilities. Back on the bridge, Voss called an emergency meeting with her senior officers. The situation had escalated beyond a simple ambush. Earth faced isolation from the galactic community, or worse. We have to warn Earth Command, Kaidi said, stating the obvious. With what proof? Asked Dr. Chen, the ship's chief medical officer. These aliens set a trap, we defended ourselves. Many species will see that as justification for their fears about Deathworlders. Voss pulled up a galactic map. The coalition has ships here, here, and here. She indicated several strategic points along Earth's shipping lanes. They're positioning for a full embargo. We could try to break through, get a warning home, suggested Reese, and risk confirming their suspicions about human aggression. Voss shook her head. No. If we're going to solve this, we need to change the narrative. She studied the map, a plan forming. Lieutenant Mason, how quickly can you adapt the Cerebian communication protocols to broadcast on all frequencies? Mason thought for a moment. A few hours, maybe less. What are you thinking? Captain? I'm thinking it's time the galaxy heard the truth. Voss stood straighter. Prepare the Cerebian commander for transport. We're going to make a house call. The next 12 hours were a flurry of activity. The Retribution set course for the nearest Coalition staging area, pushing its engines beyond recommended limits. Meanwhile, Mason and his team worked to convert the ship's communication array to broadcast on all frequencies used by Coalition species. Are you sure about this, Captain? Reese asked as they approached the staging area. We'll be outnumbered at least 20 to 1. Sometimes the best defense is to walk straight into the lion's den, Voss replied. Humanity can't fight the entire galaxy, but we can make them question their assumptions about us. When the Retribution dropped out of FTL travel, they found themselves facing a massive gathering of alien vessels, warships from a dozen different species, all primed for conflict. Open a channel to all ships, Voss ordered, and bring the Cerebian commander to the bridge. As alien faces appeared on the view screen, a mixture of shock and outrage evident in their expressions, Voss stepped forward. This is Captain Alara Voss of the United Earth ship Retribution. With me is Commander Kreth of the Cerebian fleet, whom many of you sent to test humanity's response to a false distress signal. The Cerebian commander stood beside her, visibly uncomfortable but unrestrained. Your coalition believes humans represent a threat because we evolved on what you call a death world, Voss continued. You fear our adaptability, our resilience, but you've overlooked something fundamental about human nature. She nodded to Mason, who played the full recording of the Retribution's encounter with the Cerebian fleet, from the initial response to the distress call through to Voss's decision to disable rather than destroy their attackers. We had every justification to annihilate the Cerebian ships, Voss said when the recording ended. They lured us into a trap, fired on us without provocation, and took our boarding party hostage. By any measure, we would have been justified in responding with lethal force. She turned to Commander Kreth. Tell them what happened instead. The Cerebian hesitated, then spoke. The humans disabled our ships with precision strikes. They could have targeted life support or structural integrity, but they didn't. Even their boarding parties used non-lethal methods to subdue our crews. This is the true nature of Deathworlders, Voss addressed the Coalition. We evolved not just to fight, but to cooperate, to show compassion even in the harshest conditions. Yes, humans can be formidable enemies, but we make far better allies. She stepped closer to the view screen. Your coalition planned to quarantine Earth, to isolate us from the galactic community based on fear of what we might become. I'm here to offer an alternative. Open dialogue, mutual defense agreements, cultural exchange. Humanity doesn't want to dominate the galaxy. We want to be part of it. A tense silence followed. Then, one by one, representatives from the coalition ships requested private channels with the Retribution. Hours of negotiation followed, with Voss steadfastly refusing to back down from her position. Humanity deserved a place among the stars, not because of military might, but because of their unique perspective as Deathworlders who chose cooperation over conflict whenever possible. Finally, the coalition reached a consensus. The planned blockade would be suspended, pending formal diplomatic talks on Earth. The Retribution would escort a delegation of coalition representatives to meet with Earth Command, beginning a new chapter in interspecies relations. As the alien ships dispersed, Commander Kreth approached Voss on the bridge. Your strategy was unexpected, he admitted. In your position, most species would have responded with overwhelming force, proving our fears correct. Voss smiled slightly. That's the paradox of Deathworlders, Commander. We know exactly how destructive conflict can be, which is why we work so hard to avoid it. She looked out at the stars, but make no mistake. If pushed too far, if those we protect are threatened, humans will fight with everything we have. It's a balance we've spent millennia perfecting. The Retribution set course for Earth, leading a procession of alien vessels, not as prisoners or adversaries, but as cautious diplomatic partners. As the ship accelerated toward home, Voss found a quiet moment to record her personal log. "The galaxy called us Deathworlders," she spoke softly. "They meant it as a designation, of fear, a reason to contain us, but they failed to understand what living on a death world truly teaches. That survival often depends not on individual strength, but on collective cooperation. Not on fighting every battle, but on knowing which ones matter. And most importantly, that sometimes the greatest power comes not from displaying your strength, but from choosing when to withhold it." She paused, watching Earth appear as a distant blue dot on her private screen. "We are Deathworlders," she continued. "We carry within us the capacity for tremendous destruction, but also for extraordinary compassion. And today, we showed the galaxy both sides of that coin. They sent a false SOS to test our mettle, never expecting that our response would test their assumptions even more thoroughly." As the Retribution led the alien delegation toward humanity's homeworld, Captain Alara, Voss felt a profound sense of accomplishment. The Coalition had sought to determine whether humans were too dangerous to be allowed free access to the stars. Instead, they discovered something far more significant. On the harshest worlds, evolution favors not just the strong, but the wise, those who know when to fight and when to extend a hand in peace. And that, perhaps, was the most powerful Deathworlder trait of all.